Hey guys, Alex here. The other day, I guess I was feeling particularly masochistic, so I decided I wanted to ask conservative Christians why, without any attempt to really try to change anyone's opinion, why do conservative Christians support Donald Trump? Especially because it seems to me like there's a lot of discrepancies in values, just as far as divorce, premarital affairs, all of that. But anyway, the first reason I got back from most people was because now you're allowed to say Merry Christmas. The, you know, Apparently people think that President Obama wanted to keep people from saying Merry Christmas, and that Donald Trump being president makes people now allowed to wish other people Merry Christmas again. And to most of the people who I wanted to humor the argument, so I typed into YouTube Barack Obama saying Merry Christmas, and there were within several videos that popped up, and in the first 10 seconds you can see Barack Obama saying Merry Christmas. And other people cited this thing about a Starbucks worker who allegedly was fired for saying Merry Christmas instead of Happy Holidays. And so I went and I looked that up, and that turned out to not be a real thing either. So that was kind of interesting to me. And then a lot of people cited that Donald Trump brought God back into the White House. And I was really confused by that, because at first I didn't know that he left. I needed this explained to me, but apparently the idea is that President Obama was a Muslim, and therefore because he was a Muslim, God was not permitted in the White House and the government. And because Donald Trump talks about God on Twitter, that means that God is now back in the White House. And that was really confusing for me in a lot of ways, because I didn't really think anyone was so dumb as to really believe Barack Obama was a Muslim, especially in 2020. There was even if there was any scandal about the White House, it was about something his preacher said, who was in Chicago, a church that apparently he'd gone to for a pretty long time, but it doesn't really have anything to do with him, Not that I'm, a big centrist Obama supporter, but it was just really interesting to me that the two first points that came up both seemed to be not true. And the next thing that came up was people were telling me that Donald Trump was bringing prayer back to school. And I was like, what do you mean? You're not, there shouldn't really be, where we have separation of church and state, and you can't really, say that there would be any specific religion that should be mandated to pray for prayer in school. And they're like, no, it's not that. It's that kids are now allowed to pray in school, And I was like, well, people have been allowed to privately do whatever they want in regards to that. That was never at risk. People have been allowed to. You can pray by yourself in school. You can even do it with a group. As far as I understand, there's nothing against that, as long as you're not, disrupting class time or forcing other people into it, and as long as it's not being forced upon you by the school district itself. So where did this come from? And so I kept going on and on with the people I was talking to about these certain things. There were more instances that came up, and eventually it got into immigration and the economy and fear of socialism. And the thing that I found consistently was that all these points that people brought up that were the catalyst to why they say they made the decisions they did were things that were not true. They were mostly straw man arguments. A straw man argument is when you deliberately misrepresent the other side of an argument to convince people to join your side. And I said, look, I'm not trying to change your opinion about politics or anything like that, but if it was me and someone had told me a bunch of lies to convince me to their side, I would kind of want to know, and I would be upset that somebody did that to me. So I, passed some information forward, and most people were like, well, this doesn't change anything for me. And that to me is kind of the wildest thing. And I'm trying to think of like why this is, and I don't know. It's like it could be a mixture of cognitive dissonance, where if you believed and like argued for something for a long time, and then you find out it's not true, like rather than feel like a fool or be embarrassed or admit that that personal responsibility, you would want to push it aside or deny it. I thought that could be a factor. I think it's also a mixture of, if this is your community and these are the people you surround yourself with, it takes a lot of bravery and a lot of strength to say like, hey guys, this isn't true, because you risk being, pushed out by your community. And I think, to directly confront fact and push it in the face of people around you, that takes a lot of bravery. And I think, if you're necessarily someone who subscribes to a conservative Christian faith, I don't necessarily think you're the kind of person who is brave enough to do that kind of thing. It's if you're not brave enough to maybe confront the idea that when you die nothing happens and there's no plan on earth, and that idea terrifies you so much that you would adopt a certain faith to help protect you and insulate you from that kind of truth, I imagine that pushing out any other truths that also make you uncomfortable is kind of becomes par for the course and part of your playbook. And I guess like the first thought I had about it was like, I was trying to be more sympathetic. I was thinking like, oh, like maybe these people are just like naive and they've received all this false information from so many sources that they think it's true. But this is 2020. People have access to the internet. The people I'm talking to obviously have access to the internet. They have access to other sources of information. So there's like, you can only excuse naivety or justify denial of fact through naivety or people being taken advantage of for so long, especially if when confronted with the truth they still opt out of it. So yeah, it's kind of a scary thing. And I think the conclusion I came into is like, you have people appealing to a group of people who are inclined not to believe hard truths in the face of evidence to the. You have people who are afraid to accept hard truths despite evidence to the contrary of what they may want to believe or what they've been led to believe. And you have people who are generally, lack the bravery to do what's right if it goes against what their community is telling them to do. And the question then becomes, it's like, how are we supposed to go forward if we can't bring information to people and trust that they will do what's right with it, or they, like, where do we go from here? How do you open up a dialogue? How do you reach across and find common ground and progress forward? And it puts a really like a brick wall there. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up and see if anybody else had similar experiences or thoughts or anything like that. Or if you want to just yell at me, you can do that too. Feel free to comment or subscribe. Thank you.